In late August of 2005, a hurricane was brewing near the Gulf Coast states of Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi, especially near the city of New Orleans. On August 24th, the tropical storm started to produce moisture and was given the name Katrina.
By the 25th of August, the storm was put into a Category 1 and officially announced a hurricane. After crossing over Florida into the Gulf of Mexico, the hurricane picks up speed and turns into a Category 2. The governors of Louisiana and Mississippi declared a state of emergency. At this time, the winds reach 150 miles per hour, and Katrina is then classified as a Category 3 hurricane, heading towards New Orleans. With this news, people try to evacuate, and the highways become swarmed with cars. Some people left for good, and some tried to bunker down.
On August 28th, Katrina turned into a Category 4 hurricane, then to a 5 by the end of the day, Category 5 being the highest rating for a hurricane. The winds then reach 175 miles an hour. New Orleans citizens are ordered to evacuate. The individuals that don't have the ability begin to find shelter in the Superdome and other camps popping up around the city. Many people also hunker down in their homes and begin to wait. At this time, Katrina tempered down to Category 4 and struck land at 6 a.m. this morning. That occurred just east of New Orleans.
Levees that protected the city of New Orleans from water around it due to it being below sea level were being put in high risk because of the water rising. By 8 a.m. Monday morning, there was a report of a levee being broken by the storm. This resulted in Lake Pontchartrain flooding into where the levees broke, leaving around 80% of New Orleans to be covered in water that was measured at over 20 feet in some places.
The storm begins to slow by nightfall and is now measured as a tropical storm again. Coast cities along Mississippi and Louisiana are devastated. Looting breaks out and police are forced to respond, even though most people are just trying to get food to survive. Because of these problems, rescue missions begin to stop. The majority of people who weren't able to evacuate were poor, elderly, black individuals.
On Friday, September 2nd, National Guard comes to aid crowd control and also comes to bring more resources. They bring convoys of food and water, and evacuations begin. By the next week, the Army Corps of Engineers began to try and plug and fix the damages of the levees. The residents slowly return with their lives changed forever.
Turning to his aides during the flyover of a broken New Orleans, President Bush remarked, "It's totally wiped out. It's devastating. It's got to be doubly devastating on the ground." Later, in a televised address from the White House, he said, "We're dealing with one of the worst natural disasters of our nation's history. Because of the levee failures, around 1,000 Louisiana residents died, half of which were over the age of 74. Katrina was also known to displace over 500,000 people from the Gulf Coast region. The population of New Orleans fell from just around 500,000 before Katrina to an estimated 230,000 after Katrina, a decrease of 250,000 people and a loss of over half of the city's population. The damages from the hurricane totaled $135 billion.